everybody. Thanks for joining us for another Tuesday webinar. I am Liz Downing with Takeometrics. I'm the e-commerce marketing manager here. I've got my friend Yana with me. She's the founder and CEO of YLT Translations. Say hi.
Hi guys.
It's been a
Excited
really
to be
long
here.
day for her. She was just telling me about a podcast she did 3 hours ago. So it's just been a long day of having to be on camera for her. So I'm pleased that she was able to join us. A couple of housekeeping things before we get to talking to your Amazon customers in their own language. We are recording this session. So if you registered for this webinar, you will be receiving the replay, a short recap, and the transcript. So if you're not a watcher, you can be a reader, or if you're not a reader, you can be a watcher. We try to fill all of your learning styles as best we can. If you've got questions, please submit them in the question section of the GoToWebinar panel. It's right in there, and we'll try to address these as we go along. We realize that we're getting kind of like slide heavy, a little bit of webinar exhaustion going on. You know, COVID's still not over, and so we're trying to have frank, open, informative conversations that involve you. So we're not going to put a bunch of slides in your face. We're just going to talk to you about what you ought to know about having listings in international marketplaces, because that's what Yana and her team do best. So let's talk a little bit about, if you don't use professional translation services, how does it work when you're creating your listings in international marketplaces on Amazon?
Right. So basically, if you don't want to use a professional service like ours or some other service, usually Amazon is going to offer you their own translation service as a part of the Launchpad program. So that's basically how it works. They offer that for free. And a lot of people think like, woohoo, I'm going to save a lot of time and money because Amazon is going to do this for me. But then once you think about it a little bit more, having the word free and Amazon doing it for me in one sentence is just not going to, sound good at the end. It's going to cost you the most. That's my experience.
So that's sort of why you formed your company.
Yeah.
You've got a background in languages, also a background in music. You can learn more about that when we post our Cool Kids of E-commerce episode with Yana, which was one of the most fun ones I've ever done, but it's not live yet. So you've got a background in languages. You understand the importance of not only proper translation, but talking to someone in a way that they understand in terms of the way the culture is in that country. Which is obviously not an advantage an automated translation service would have, like Google Translate, for instance. It just goes off of like, textbooky kind of translation. And I think that probably Amazon's is similar. So that's sort of like why YLT came into being. And why you've been so successful, because I think people have realized that doing it your way works better than doing it the free Amazon way.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's not just because we do this service. I just think that Amazon is overall doing a horrible job with the translations because it's a machine translation. It's basically like you're using Google Translate. And I mean, if you've ever used Google Translate on your holiday, you know that it did much harm than good. And just imagine applying that to your listings and just, Google Translate would not do the keyword research. Neither would that regular translator from Fiverr or anywhere else would understand why they are translating the text. Like, what is the purpose of this text? And unless you explain this to them, that they're actually, they'll have to create a sales copy that will make the potential buyer buy this product. They would not understand why are they doing this for. And the problem is that without keywords, so Google Translate or other regular translators, they don't give you keywords, and you're not going to be able to be found for that specific keyword. So you might invest in this.
Sorry, but the scary thing about Amazon is that it will translate your listing and it will sort of like pick your keywords for you, but it won't be an intuitive way that it picks your keywords. So there are keywords involved because that's how they say, oh, we're able to advertise for you too. But it's based on the keywords they pick out of your listing that they translated with a machine. And it might be the completely wrong word, or it might not be exactly the right word. And in Amazon's case, it has to be the exact right word in order for you to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. But, as I mentioned, like, if you let Google Translate that for you, of course, there's going to be perhaps by accident some of the keyword. And also I think like Amazon, they just do, because we've seen like so many translations, and people come to us and they ask feedback about underperforming listings. And then when you take a look at a listing, it can have like one or two keywords put there literally like by accident, and it would not make any sense. Like okay, for like, let's say the title is fine. Sometimes you have the title which has like two or three keywords and some like minor details, but then when you have the bullet, or the product description or something, which should be like storytelling, or emphasizing the benefits of your product, people will not going to understand that, because it's done by a robot who doesn't understand your brand and doesn't understand your product. So you're not going to convey the right message. And the problem is, and a lot of studies have shown this, that people who don't understand what they're buying are highly unlikely to buy your product. And this is 100% the same. And even if you have like a better pricing, and I've had this example, like on the French marketplace, there was like this diaper bag. It's like a carry-on diaper bag, and like all of the listings were priced around like the $35, and this particular listing was priced $25. But the listing, like when you click on it, it was completely confusing. I wouldn't understand, like, how do I open this bag, and like how do I change diapers for my baby. And people were also like very puzzled by this listing, and with the reviews and everything, you would see that this product was not like in top sellers of, like, let's say like top 100 products of the baby diapers in that category, even though the price was $10 less than all other products. And this product looked pretty much the same, and it had professional pictures and everything okay was done, but the listing didn't make any sense, and people didn't buy it because they didn't understand it. And especially if you're speaking to an unknown market, like where you don't speak the language and you actually don't know how this sounds like, you really have to put your listing in trust to someone who is a native speaker, who knows how to localize the product. A lot of people will just translate the product as it is, even with like native translators, but they would not localize that in terms of like, you need to change something, like some part of the listings. You need to do like a little bit of rewriting in order to help the customer understand your brand or your product better. US style is like very salesy and fluffy, and it's very different than German style. Like if you were to take like a US listing and translate it as it is to Germans, they'll be just like, no, man, like I don't want to buy your product, because like in the US listing, people are pushed into buying product, like buy this amazing product. And I love this example of this glass espresso cup that we did a couple of years ago. So the original US listing was the first bullet says, cool, cooler, coolest. And then the German bullet translated to elegant and stylish. So it's like, will this fit my kitchen? Will this fit my lifestyle? Oh, yes, it will. It's elegant and stylish. Or no, I'm a hipster. I don't want this. And then like the third bullet said, like, own the enigma. Just like your grandma used to have bottles in front of your fireplace. And then Germans say thermal isolated glass, which basically means you're not gonna burn your fingers. So they're like really focused on like being like very straightforward, like show me the benefits of your products, how do they solve my problems, why should I buy your product through your example, not because you're gonna tell me like buy my product or buy my amazing product. So you should really avoid this style when addressing the German audience. And people make a lot of mistakes with that, because if you just translate the bullet which says like, buy this amazing product now for the season, or like for the Mother's Day or something like that, and you just translate this to Germans, it would not make any sense. They might be also like quite kind of offended by your listing as well. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like from all of the worldwide marketplaces, German marketplace is the one that gives out the most refunds. So if people don't understand the listing and maybe they think they're buying something else, they're not, they're just going to return the product. And obviously that happens a lot. So you should be really careful with the Germans. It is the biggest marketplace. I always recommend going to Germany because it has so much potential. And I like to call it a 5-star marketplace, because people from other countries that don't have their own Amazon marketplace, they get redirected and they buy from German Amazon. Like now we have Amazon Sweden, we have Amazon Netherlands, but they were all redirected, and everybody purchased from Germany. So this is really interesting because you get the access to much more wider crowd than the German crowd. but it's all, it's all like German mentality, and like the, kind of Northern Europe. So you really have to pay attention that you do not reflect the US style, let's say, in Germany. And this can be also applied for a lot of other marketplaces, but I just always like to talk about like the US and Germany, because it is the biggest difference in style, and you should never ever translate that word by word, because you're just not going to get the same effect.
So US listings might try to be clever, or they might try to do a play on words or a
Yeah.
pun or something like that to catch the eye. And I know a lot of listing optimization, US based, for .com recommend, really spicing up your listing, making your
Right.
bullet points super interesting. You're supposed to get the functionality and the use of your product across, but the more clever you can be with your language, the more it stands out. And for Germany, that would be considered frivolous and
Yeah.
stupid. And if it was translated wrong, then it would be like double stupid. But even if it was translated correctly to get the idea across, that's not a market that would appreciate that style of like
No,
a
definitely,
listing.
definitely not. It's really different, and I mean, I cannot emphasize this enough. But you do a product research for each market separately, and this is how you should also do your keyword research, and this is also how you should approach your listings. And for instance, like an interesting fact, like what I've noticed is that, for instance, toys category, this sells in Germany like crazy, and it does well all across Europe. It does even better than it does in the States. We've had like so many clients that, like, they're US based, and the revenue outgrew the revenue in Germany and Europe outgrew the revenue in the States, just because they kind of sold toys. And you're like, why is this? Because, like, marketplaces are different, and don't think that if you have a bestseller on one marketplace, that you will be super successful on another one. Usually, like, the rule of thumb is, like, if you start in the States, you usually take your bestsellers to Europe, for instance. But you really have to do the market research, like go to brand analytics, just check it out. Or if you don't want to go to brand analytics, you can always, like, have the, Vox Populi, and you can go to like a Facebook group of expats and ask them, like, hey, so would you buy my product? We also recently had some there was a seller. He had problem. He was like, I'm doing everything, like, I have like premium pictures, everything is great, keywords, blah blah, everything is terrific. And this is also what our feedback was from his listings, that he was like, he was from the UK, and he was like, my t-shirts are just not selling in Germany. And we're like, well, no, let's have a look. And so he was selling a t-shirt which says Mr. with like the smiley face, and Mrs. also with a smiley face. So like it together as like a couple t-shirts. And then I went to like my whole German team, and they said, like, I would never buy that, like, ever. Like, every single person, I have 15 team members in my German team. They're like, this is something that Germans would never buy. Like, this is not going to be a bestseller on the German marketplace,
Did they
So
say
sometimes,
why?
no, they're just like, this isn't like something that Germans would like. This is just what they said. It's just like not, like, it's also like, when you have also like translations, and then we did this like for Payoneer, the payment service provider, and they wanted to have like these like big billboards or like some conference in Germany, and one of their like sentences said, customer care, we live to care for you, or something like that. And then in Germany, you have to say, like, customer care, we live up to what we promise, or like we live up to deliver professional, whatever. Because like the care, and like having like a, we are a humble service at your service, they had said things like that. And like in Germany, you cannot translate like we are very humble, because like humble and care connects to like physical care and hospital stuff, and it doesn't sound like this service can help you or do anything professional for you. So, this is like absolutely the same. It's like, if I ask like a German person, like, would you hire a humble service or like exquisitely professional service? They would be like exclusively professional service, just because they didn't use that wordplay, and they don't like this kind of metaphors and stuff. But this is something that you really have to, as I said, like, you don't have to pay money. You don't have to pay someone to do product research for you. If you don't want to do it yourself, you can ask people, and they will give you pretty good guidelines, which is very important for, let's say, like Japanese marketplace. which is like a completely different world. And not all products will be successful there. And I mean, if you have an amazing product for Japanese marketplace, then you should like go all in, because PPC is cheaper. There's literally very little competition over there, and it's just like a unique marketplace. But a lot of products that are bestsellers in the States or in Europe will not be successful over there. We had like tons of products that were doing great, but those are products that are, you would say like, oh, I understand this is good for the Asian marketplace, like some like crazy like flow, like what was it, like yeah, it was there was like some sort of shield that you put on yourself, and you also put on your testicles, and it's in pink and green and fluo colors, and you do like some martial art with that, which is like a no joke martial art. It's not like, something from the cartoons and stuff. This is like, and you're like, why would anybody in this world put this on themselves, right? And this was a top bestseller in Japan. So,
We did have a question about localization, but I think you're giving lots of great examples of localization and understanding a marketplace so that you can place your product correctly. And then there are some cases where you might have like that product you just talked about. I doubt anybody in Germany would want to buy that.
No, I mean, I doubt anybody, like maybe like in the States, because it's such a big market, and you have like so many international people and the cultures like combined and living together, then maybe yes. But like for Japan, that was insane. Like it went through the roof. Like I'm gonna find the link and I'm gonna send it to you, because I was
I
just
hope you
like,
do.
it
We'll
was so
include
weird.
it in the
I
recap.
never, yeah, I mean, I've never seen like anything like that before, and we were just like, except our Japanese team, which were like, oh, this is cool, and they didn't see anything weird, when we're like, strange with that. It's just like, oh, it's like a regular, like equipment you put on yourself to protect yourself from the other people's punches. Like, fine. So that was really interesting. And when talking about localization, there are like so many examples of like what goes wrong if you present it differently. And I remember there was an example of an Italian listing, and it was a bikini for, it was a plus size bikini. There was a plus size model, but the mistake they did, because they used Google Translate, or maybe somebody else who didn't do a good job. So the title said blue bikini for donna grosso. Donna grosso means fat women. So you definitely don't want to be like, product for fat women. And then there were like a lot of bad comments in Italian saying like, this is like disrespectful and blah, blah, blah. And there are like tons of mistakes like that. They're like all over Amazon. And I have like 20 products like to name. I did I think I did a podcast last year just with like mistakes that people have from Google Translate, and some of those are actually best sellers, and some of them are of course Chinese sellers which use the Chinglish, the translations and stuff. But like half of their listings are completely wrong and that don't make a lot of sense. And there was like this bullet journal, and the bullet journal was translated to Spanish with viajes, which means like a gun bullets, like not the bullet journal, but like it was like a notebook where you keep your bullets like from your gun. And it was a beautiful notebook with like some deer like on it, like a leather notebook. But I mean, that was just crazy. Or there was also like one of my favorite examples is like a brown shaver, right? So they did a good job with everything except the title with the keywords. So they chose completely wrong keywords. A shaver, it's called Rasen, to shave in German. And the one of the keywords is Rasenmäher. So Rasenmäher means a lawn mower. It doesn't mean a shaver, like to shave your hair or something. It's a lawnmower. So when you type like Rasenmäher, you're gonna get a lawnmower. So they were ranking for something completely wrong. They were doing well in spite of that, but just imagine like how much more these brands would do if they had somebody to just read through their listings. I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody has ever gone through these listings and be like, why is a lawnmower in your title? So just so weird.
Well, and it can go crazy, right? Because if that's the keyword you're using in your title, and then that's the
Yeah.
keyword that you choose to advertise on in that particular marketplace, then
Oh
all
yeah,
of
the
a sudden,
PPC and yeah.
all the traffic you're wasting, throwing money away on a keyword that is not relevant to your product at all.
I know, and that's like the worst thing is that you will use, as you said, like everything in the PPC campaigns. You're gonna waste your money, especially like during the a famous honeymoon period. So for those of you out there who are gonna check your listings and be like, oh my God, this is wrong, this is it. If you don't have any bad reviews, there is a way how to restart your honeymoon period by deleting absolutely everything which you had in your listing and shortening your title to as a few characters Amazon lets you, and deleting absolutely everything and saving that and leaving that for 36 hours. And after that, once you upload everything back gets re-indexed. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have any bad reviews, because this method doesn't delete any bad reviews. For that, you have to go like to some hackers, which I would not recommend. But apart from this, like this thing that I know, it works 100%. It can restart your honeymoon period, but if you have bad reviews, then unfortunately there's nothing. There's not much that could be of use to you.
So will it still reset the content and will you still get re-indexed? It's just that you've got that bad
Yeah.
review and you can't get rid of that. So it might still
Yes.
be worth it to do it because you could get more positive reviews if your listing was actually correct.
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially if you are selling in Europe, now that like all reviews are kind of combined and put together. Earlier, like I don't know, like a year and a half ago, it was really difficult when you're starting off on a new marketplace because you had like 0 reviews and you have to build out everything from the start. But now, like if you're selling across Europe already and you want to add another marketplace, you're going to accumulate all of these beautiful reviews that you have. So it doesn't really matter. I don't think people have only bad reviews on their listings. I don't think that's possible if they're doing a good job on other marketplaces.
Right. So let's talk a little bit. We talked about localization. I think we can go back to that if we have questions, but let's talk a little bit about some examples you've seen where you have gone in and tweaked the keyword strategy
Right.
specifically. And let's talk about marketplace to marketplace. So let's like have a Germany example, and let's have a Japan example. We haven't talked about
Cool.
France at all, so it feels left out.
Right. Sure. No FOMO. Everybody's gonna get their time. So yeah. So about the keywords, I have to like address the problem with the search volume. So a lot of sellers, also like big ones, and I'm constantly surprised by how people lack the knowledge about the keywords, and they're also using the same strategy on their home marketplace. So a lot of sellers would come and be like, well, this is like a 15,000 search volume, and I mean, this should go to the title, and this is like the search volume, like 7,000, maybe like this is the first bullet, and blah blah. And this is all they take into consideration, like search volume. So this is absolutely wrong, because search volume, it's fine. Like people search for those keywords, but how many of those keywords are going to convert? And how many of those keywords are actually relevant for your product? So this is something that everybody should have in mind. So be sure to combine brand analytics for sure with some other tools that you have. Like for instance, like we use Helium 10, and for some marketplaces that Helium 10 doesn't have, like Japan and UAE, we use Seller App. So you want to combine like all of that together and to see what is the relevancy, what are the conversion rates, and what is the search volume. So like let's say if the relevancy goes like under like 20, you're not gonna use it, even though it has like really high search volume. You're not gonna use that. But you should like combine everything, which is like more like depending, of course, on the competitors. Not all categories and products gonna have the same ratio. But usually, with like a competitive category such as like I don't know, kids toys, for instance, in Europe, you're gonna like use relevancy like more than like 25, more than 30 is good, and then you combine it with the search volume, and then you also combine that. So you have the relevancy, you have the conversion rate, which you can see in sales, and then you can have the search volume. So you have to combine all those three to get something which is going to be good. So this is something important, and people just look for search volume. That's it, which is wrong, because it doesn't mean that they are going to convert. So this is number one mistake that I've seen, and I cannot stress enough how this is important. And also what we like is this little tool. It's called AMZ Suggestion Expander. It's absolutely free, and it's an add-on for Chrome, and it doesn't give you like a search volume information or anything, but it's really cool. Like if you're entering a new marketplace and you don't have that many competitors, because you know how like old tools, they extract information, the keywords from the competitors. So what do you do if you're like maybe the first person selling that product, or like maybe you have three competitors that are not that good? Basically, you're just gonna type your main keyword. Let's say bonsai, you want to say bonsai tree kit, and then you're gonna get a drop down menu with all the combinations which come before and after the main keyword. And those are pretty awesome. And sometimes we get some really cool solutions for that that we don't get in other tools. As I said, it doesn't give you search volume, so you would not be knowing like how relevant, or not how relevant, but how highly converting of search volume this has. But this has been a really good keyword combination that Amazon itself is going to pull out for you. So this is good to use in combination like with other tools. I would save the AMZ suggestion expander results for, you know, maybe like the fourth and fifth bullet, or product description, or backends, because I think it's really important. And also what's very important when it comes to languages is that you have to know that languages don't work the same. Usually long tail words are, or keywords are the ones that that consist of two or more keywords. And in all of the tools that you're using, it says word count is set by default as number 2. It means you're going to get 2 results, like 2 word results in the results, and that will be your long tail keywords. And that's fine for English, it's fine for French, it's fine for Spain, but it's not okay for Germany, because German language has like these big chunky compound keywords, and you can literally express like a full sentence with like one word in German. And the mistake people are making is like, you go to this tool and you click, you know, you put your magnet, cerebro, everything, but the word count stays as number 2, because it means you're going to get only 2 word long tail keywords in your results, and you're not going to get compound words at all. And these compound keywords, which are long tail keywords, they usually rank very, very, very high. And so usually like from the top 30 results without any compound words, you're going to probably miss out on like 3, 4, 5 very, very important keywords for you, which your competitor is probably ranked for and you're not. So that's super important. So whatever you do, whatever tool you use, whenever you see the word count is set as number 2, go back and set it to number 1, and then do the search once again, and you'll see how many more words you're gonna do, and then combine the first and the second result in this keyword database, and you'll see how many new keywords you're gonna get this way.
And did you say that the name of that Chrome extension was AMZ Expander, or AMZ Suggestion Expander?
AMZ, yes, AMZ Suggestion Expander.
Okay, I'm gonna link to that in the chat because people seem interested in that. So here you go, y'all. There you go.
It's a super cool tool, very simple to use. You just need to restart your Chrome, and once you go to Amazon and you type something in the search field, you're gonna see this drop-down menu with so many cool ideas for the keywords that you could use in your front-end listing.
Awesome. What if somebody sells name brand products, but they're not the brand owner who actually created the ASIN? What's your experience of updating high ranking items that might have titles and descriptions that could use keyword optimization across international marketplaces? Like, do you have any clients that are resellers rather than the brand owner themselves? And how does that usually work?
Yeah, for instance, so we had somebody reselling Disney Frozen backpacks for kids, and they were official resellers. And in that case, you can use brand keywords because you have the right to use the brand keywords. That's like talking about like big brands that you are reselling. But when it comes to like you being a brand owner, unless you are a well-known brand, it doesn't make much sense to use your own brand like as a keyword. I would always just, you know, recommend to use that if you are a reseller of a very, very big brand, which in that case makes absolute sense.
Well, so if the person who's selling the item actually didn't create the listing, how can they help make it better?
Well, you can how you can make it better. first of all, I would always give it to someone who's gonna tell you like, this is what could be improved. I definitely think that in 90% of the listings, keywords could be definitely better. So I would start with a listing that you have. Let's say they have like a UK listing, it's doing fine. You're indexing for some of the things, it's not performing amazingly. If it's doing good, I would not touch it because you should not change your listing at all costs, Like if your listing is ranking, if it's fine, if it's doing sales, if it's like going up, don't change it. Especially don't change it like 3 weeks before Christmas. Like don't do that. So whatever you did, like you do, like you change your listings, let's say like in the end of October, maybe beginning of November, but that's it. You never touch your listings after that. So whatever they're doing, like let's keep them going like that, but don't change anything because that's gonna cost you a lot. So I would definitely, but let's say like let's talk about like a semi-ruined listing. I would definitely do keyword research again, and I would change the keywords. I would put two or three the most relevant and very highly ranked and converting keywords in your title. I would never change the singular and plural. I would never use like keywords which are singular and plural. So you just use one version of your keyword. It's going to rank for both singular and plural. I would never repeat keywords. I see a lot of keywords being repeated, and that's absolutely not necessary. I'm sure you can rank for so many more keywords than that three that you've been repeating throughout your whole listing. That as well, and I would and I would definitely work on showing benefits of the products in your bullets for sure. And I would leave the storytelling and branding for like A plus or like product description. If you have A plus, I would always leave product description in backend because it gets indexed. And if you don't have A plus, like if you're using like your cell phone, you'll see on the app that after a title, the description comes first, not the bullets. So you really have to put something good in that like first 100 characters of like your product description. And also what's really interesting, like in A plus content, when you have the pictures, you can name the pictures and then you have like the keywords for meta tags for pictures, and all of those keywords, top 100 of the words in those keywords, they also get indexed. So you can maximize on the keywords everywhere, literally the listing, and you can put it over there. And definitely I would use something in backends which is relevant for my product, but I would also use some of the search related products. Sometimes it's a good idea because like if you sell like flip flops and you write like a sun umbrella, your product might show up in that frequently bought together option. And people, when they write umbrella, they maybe like buy, flip flops because it's like very suggestive. Like, oh, right, I need some flip flops. That might be also something that would work for your product. This is what we, sometimes do. And definitely, whatever you do, I would never repeat keywords that you have from the listing in backends. And I would not write, let's say you have like the bonsai tree kit. This is one keyword, but I would not use like in backend, I would not put bonsai tree kit and then big bonsai tree. I would just do like big, and I would just do like kit. I would not repeat the bonsai tree, bonsai tree, bonsai tree. You have only 249 characters to use, and you better use it well. And of course, I think that even more important from backend is subject matter, which is now removed like on the US marketplace from the listings, but it's still there in European marketplaces. So I think that's also very important. I mean, you can really do so many different types of research. Like for instance, like one of the really cool things that we like to do, and I mean, it's for all marketplaces, like in Helium 10, we go to Frankenstein. So and then what we do is like we take depending on how many competitors you have, we take like 5, 6, 7 competitors. We paste their titles. You find the top selling competitors, of course. So we put like 7 titles, and then you literally like check the thing which says like remove duplicates and like one word per line and I don't know what, and just click. And then on the right side, you're gonna get like one liner, literally like with one word. And this would be the most relevant keywords and converting ones that your competitors are using. So what you can do is like you can use all of that and put into Scribble, and you can use that to write your listing in any language, because you just need to have the basics, what the keywords should be in your listing, and then you can add on from other researches. But this is something that works like 100%. And also what's very important is that because it's like a one liner, sometimes you will not know what's a long tail keyword from that, but that really doesn't matter that much. Because like if you put like a bonsai tree and then you have like a plant kit, not for instance. So you can hit the, like a bonsai tree, and then you can see like for your toddler's, I don't know, plant kit, for instance. The plant kit would be combined with bonsai tree, especially if it's in the title. So sometimes you don't have to have like, bonsai tree kit for adults, bonsai tree kit. I would avoid just using bonsai tree like also in the title if you can just add adults, and I would just like use the dashes, for instance. And also, if you have bullets, I would not use interpunction. I would put the dashes, and I would avoid emojis. I hate emojis in the listings. I don't like that. And a lot of times people had trouble with emoji and they've been taken down. There is a list of emojis that are allowed. Somewhere there's a website that says that. But I would not use emojis. I know it's cute, but it has caused a lot of trouble in the past.
For a
So
while, at least on .com, it was really, really helping. I mean,
yeah,
that was what people were swearing by it. But then Amazon was like, hey, no
yeah,
more emojis, no more all caps. And then,
yeah.
okay, maybe a couple of emojis, maybe a couple of all caps. But, it's
I mean, yeah. You can like you can get away in the European marketplace. You can still have caps lock in bullets. They're not gonna take down your listing for that. But in the US, they will. So cool thing with like European marketplaces is that a lot of things that are restricted in the US might probably never even go live in Europe. So you're kind of Europe is like far behind. So that's cool. And this will help you to maybe do some like maneuvers that you will want to do in the US but you can't, but you can do it like in Europe. So that's also like a cool thing to do. And yeah, I would just focus on like really good pictures. I would also check one very important thing, and this is like a lot of sellers don't even see this. So if you go to your product page like on Amazon, 70% of the sellers have a competitor advertising on their own listing. So pay attention to that, because if that's happening, you can take care of that. You can take care of that. If you have like somebody who's like doing your PPC, I'm pretty sure they will know. I'm not gonna talk about that, but if somebody knows how to do, like dealing with PPC, they know how to blog that, they know how to do it. But people don't, sellers don't, pay attention to that, and this is going to steal your sales. And this is something which is very important, because in the business report, you can also see like how many sales you had like per when you change the title, when you change the bullet, blah, blah. And then if something goes wrong, then you might want to check your page and see maybe your competitor is advertising on your page. And I also recommend that when you change something in your listing, you do one variable at a time. So if you do title, then you just kind of change the title and just wait for it to see the changes, check the sales. And then if that flies well, then you go to the first bullet, then you go to the second bullet, and so on. So don't do like a title, first bullet, and product description all at once. It's not gonna do any good, because you're not gonna know what works and what doesn't work.
and how long should they wait in between? So title first.
Well, yeah, well, I would say like probably like a month or 2 months. I would not go under a month. If you see, like, if you immediately see like good results, then you can move on to the next one. But sometimes people have slow results, so I think like 2 months should be like a good guideline for that.
Well, and this applies to any marketplace. These tips that you're giving now
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
applies to any
absolutely.
marketplace
Oh,
whatsoever. Now, but
yeah,
if you've got a listing that you had translated, you either used Google Translate or you used Amazon's native translation, and it's like so wrong, then you can do the trick that you talked about before, which is where you take everything down, use the minimal amount of characters in
the
the
title. Yeah,
title, and then wait 36 hours and then upload it again with the right translation, as long as you don't
yeah,
have negative reviews. But if you should do
yeah.
it even if you do have negative reviews, because you're just going to keep getting negative reviews if you
Yeah,
don't do
you're
it.
gonna keep getting. It's gonna get better. So yeah. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And this is what people have been doing. It's still working. I don't know how long this is gonna work for. So don't tell other people about it.
That's the problem.
um,
Once you find something that works, once you start talking about it, then it stops working, because Amazon's like, oh, hey, we didn't know that you could do that. I don't think they would have a
yeah,
problem with that. I mean, Amazon is customer first, no matter what marketplace we're talking about, right?
true.
And they want listings to be accurate so that people have happy buying experiences. I'm sure that um, the return rate on .de is a concern to Amazon as a global organization, because they're like, look,
Yeah.
get your German listings right, people. Otherwise, these people are going to return the items because it's not what they expected.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
your commitment to your customers has to be right on par with that customer obsession of Amazon's, no matter what marketplace you're selling in. So knowing that marketplace, being able to understand how to communicate is one piece of the puzzle. But then if you don't speak that language, then you can't be sure that you're getting your well-intentioned, well-researched, well-worded listing across to that marketplace in that language, because you don't speak that language. So that's why I think a translation, I would not use a translation service. I would absolutely want a native speaker to take a look at my listing. It's just like, it's like a really bad thing if you don't, right? Because you don't know, because you don't speak that
No,
language.
you don't know. And I'm really, kind of disappointed by how little, like just a small sample of sellers actually understand how important your listing is. Of course, this is not the whole thing. I mean, you cannot expect wonders if you're not doing a good job with your PPC campaigns, or like your pictures are lousy, or whatever. But I would say that we have noticed such an improved like revenue and sales just after people using the right keywords in their listings, in their front end listings. So you can do everything else right, but if you're not having your listing, your content the right way, you're gonna get like the expected results. And it's really so easy, basically. And I mean, we do like more than 3,000 listings every month, and we've seen like tons of stuff. And what we always see is like after you kind of twitch your listing with the proper keywords that make sense, your revenue starts also making sense, and it's pretty easy. Just people are afraid of doing that because they don't understand the language, and I understand that. I fully understand, especially like when it comes to Japanese, where you don't have a regular alphabet, when you're like, what the hell is this, so I totally understand that. But I just think that international marketplaces, like worldwide, have been trending so much ever since the start of COVID. And I think the trending is going to be like super, super, it's here to stay, literally. And last year we got 40% more translation requests for other European marketplaces than ever before, which is insane. So I would say a lot of people have seen the possibility to increase their revenue even more. We've seen brands that have never thought of going international, like a very, very big US furniture brand that we've been working with. They were like, why would we go there? And now they're like, yeah, let's do it. And people are changing their mindset, and that makes me really happy. But I really think that they could triple the revenue, like easy, just with having, the listings and the keywords and PPC campaigns done the proper way on every marketplace. I know it's a hassle, like with VATs and stuff, but once you get that settled, really, like there's nothing is stopping like your way.
Well, and that's why I like to have discussions like this about global selling, because I don't think that a lot of brands understand
Yeah,
how much it could positively impact their business, but how negative an experience it can be if you do it wrong. So just to tease it out a little, on the 15th of June, Yana's coming back with me. I'm having Pearl from First Way Shipping next week. She's coming back with me. We're going to have TJ from Payoneer, Tom Meeks from Avask, to kind of tackle the whole picture. So if you are looking toward a global approach to Amazon, what do you need to know? What are some advanced strategies? So I want to invite everybody who's here today, if you've got questions that are beyond the, okay, how do I get started? But now it's how do I actually succeed? I'm going to pop my email address into the chat. I want you to, as you're thinking over the next month or so, email me any question you want that panel to tackle, and we will tackle it live during that webinar on the 15th of June. That registration link should be available pretty soon. In the meantime, if you are selling, I have just a couple questions that are just like pure curiosity. You said that the first marketplace you recommend, if somebody's like, okay, where should I go? First one you say is Germany. And that's
yeah,
for a couple of reasons, because it goes to countries other than Germany that don't have their own marketplace yet. I imagine Brexit has had something to do with a little bit of increase in Germany, just because, there were a lot of people that were based in the UK that were selling into Germany, and they can't do that so much anymore, and it's kind of crazy. And we'll talk about Brexit during that June 15th webinar too. We don't have to tackle it today. I
Also,
think I'll make my
Germany
head
has
hurt.
been the biggest. Germany has been the biggest marketplace even before Brexit. So
Yeah.
it was like the States, Germany, and then UK, and then Japan. So this is just like, kind of just, it's skyrocketed Germany even higher because a lot of people now have the problem because of Brexit and, what else we're going to cover on June 15th. But it should be a really, really good webinar with tons of information if you don't know how to get started or what can get in your way. So you should definitely tune in for the webinar.
And we're going to have some absolutely really fun, really interesting tips for you on very specific advertising tactics for different marketplaces. I mean, Jason McGee, of course, is going to be helping out with that while I moderate, because I can't multitask all that well. Although I have heard that you can't actually multitask. The human brain
You
is not
can.
actually capable of multitasking. That you never give anything 100% if you're not giving it all of your attention. I don't know. I mean, you feel free to weigh on that, y'all, too. If you want to email me about multitasking, you can do that. But so if somebody's like, okay, great, now I'm in Germany, where should I go next? Then you say UK, then you say Japan, or does it just depend on their product?
Like I say, like you can go to UK. I mean, depending on where you're based. Like let's say you're based in the US. Of course, I mean you should go to the UK. But it's a good marketplace. It's a big marketplace. But you have to understand that you are limited by the UK. You cannot register for the Pan-European program and then ship your inventory to Europe if you decide to go to Europe. So you have to have the inventory in the UK and you have to have inventory in Europe. So when talking about Europe, I would definitely recommend the Pan-European program because you get registered for basically all the countries, and then you can ship like everywhere. So before pandemic, Spain and Italy have been a little bit like off the map, like when it comes to like countries that are interesting for selling. But during the pandemic, like e-commerce is like increased like 14%, like insane. And we've seen like more and more people want to go to Spain and Italy now. Like earlier it was like maybe like Germany, like UK, and maybe France. That was it. But now like people just really go to Spain and Italy as well. And when it comes to new marketplaces, we have the Netherlands and we have Sweden. But something that is like completely on fire is Poland. Like that's the newest marketplace, and literally like we've had returning clients that would go and be like, here's my entire catalog. I'm talking about like 400 or 500 ASINs saying like I want to go to Poland. They didn't go to Sweden, they didn't go to the Netherlands, but they want to go to Poland. So out of some reason, sellers see a good opportunity in Poland. It's a really big country. I think it has like 30 million people. And Allegro is a very famous marketplace in Poland, and it's actually in the top 10 worldwide marketplaces, right after Tmall and Shopee, which are like the leading ones. And Poland has 12,000 online stores. So I think it could be potentially very, very good marketplace. We'll see how that goes, but the inquiry is a bit like going through the roof, honestly. So if I could pick like an additional marketplace in Europe where I would go to and it's new and fresh, I'd say Poland for sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from Europe, like. Mhm.
What are you seeing about like Turkey and UAE? Are those, did you get a lot of requests for those too?
Yeah, Turkey, none, literally none. We've been in business for like 2.5 years now. Like we've had like maybe one inquiry for Turkey. UAE, that's talking about like outside of Europe, of course. So UAE could potentially be a very good marketplace because you don't have to do translations because you can target expats. So if I could recommend a category for UAE, that would definitely be home decor, because a lot of expats there come and go. Like people get their jobs, they get assigned to work in Dubai. It's like now a world center for business and oil and everything. And people usually not buy, but rent apartments that are not furnished. So you have to buy some furnishings, you have to buy some home decor and stuff. And if you check the category, it still has like 3,000-4,000 products maybe. When you compare that to the US one, which has like 50,000, that's like nothing. And Dubai is like an expensive place to live. And if you have competitive pricing, you can totally beat your competitors. And I think that home decor can definitely be one of the best categories that you can use on UAE. And as I said, you target expats and you don't need any translations. I would use US keyword research because of the English that's spoken there and people that are mostly there. Compared to like Singapore, where you would use UK English and UK keywords, but for the UAE, I could recommend US keywords. Definitely Japan is good because, I mean, if you have the product. If you don't have the product, then don't go there. And a lot of people like from the States, they go to either to Canada, that's like choice number one, because you don't have to translate the keywords, sorry, the listings, even though I would always recommend if you don't want to, you have to do the keyword research. So you use the Canadian one. Even if you compare like the US, the UK, and Canada, you'll have different keyword results. They're not going to be 100% the same, even though it's all English, right? But like what I would recommend for the Canadian listings is that you put French keywords in backends, because there are a lot of French speakers in Canada. They type in a lot of stuff, and we had some good results when you put French keywords in your backends. And Mexico, of course, like a lot of US sellers go to Mexico, where you just do, Mexican keyword research and the listing, and you find a Mexican to translate that for you. That's it. From all the marketplaces, I would definitely, it will be for me. I'm also a seller, by the way. If somebody was asking if I'm a seller, so I don't know what I'm talking about, I do. I got into selling a couple of months ago, but I'm applying all the strategies that I know, and we've seen some really good results. And we are in not supplements, but it's like a food that you add to your food. So we don't get into supplements, but like in a different category. So basically, I would do like the US, of course, number one. Then I would do Germany and the UK, depending on what you want to do. Maybe you want to go UK and maybe you want to do Germany, because if you want to do Germany, you want to cover all the VATs, which is going to be a couple of months of like problems for you, but you're going to take care of that, like in 6-7 months if you hire a proper agency. And then if you want to do UAE, that's also fine if you have the home decor. I'm not sure about other categories, but I know home decor is super awesome category. And then if you have the specific product for Japan, I would definitely like do Japan for sure. Like if you're signing from the US, I would definitely go to Japan if you have the Japanese product. If not, I would do Canada first. I would not go to Europe. I would first do like Canada, and then maybe I would go to Germany and Europe. But I would definitely expand to Europe, because earlier, like you would have to register for the Pan-European program for Europe, for Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. But then you would have to register for VAT in Poland and Czech Republic and one more country which I forgot, which means that Amazon was going to expand to these countries as well. So now we have 7 countries instead of 4, and we have additional one, the Czech Republic, which is probably going to be rolled out maybe even at the end of this year. But I'm just saying that I think the European program is going to be huge, and I know sellers are getting email from Amazon, and Amazon is pushing these people into selling or international selling in Europe, because I really think it's a good idea.
So if you're not doing it, now is the time.
Yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with your team, how do they do that? And I'll put that in the chat.
Sure. So if you guys need any advice, or you don't know how to get the stuff done, or maybe you would just want us to take a look at your listing and tell us what's wrong, we do like this cool like audit of your listings. And you can drop me an email at JANA, that's Yana, at YLT-translations.com. And you can book a call with me, or you can just ask my team to help you to figure out what's underperforming in your listing. If your listing is doing good, as I said, I would not touch that all the time. So if your listing is good, we're going to tell you it's good, And also, I am not recommending people to use seasonal keywords too often. This is also something that a lot of people make mistakes with. So I would not use it if you really, if you know that the product is going to do well or not. So maybe you're gonna use a seasonal keyword in your 5th bullet just to kind of try it out. But I would not overuse that at all, because then you'll have to change that back, which sets back your listing as well. So don't overuse the seasonal keywords.
That's a great tip. I also put a link to the free listing analysis for the people that are left. And listen, if you all need help with your advertising in different countries, we've got teams that can do that. So I encourage you to talk to us about that. So all you have to do is follow this link that I'm going to send you right now. It's our Let's Talk link. But yeah, if you need help with that, let's talk about it.
Cool.
Well, we're almost at the top of the hour. I know everybody's got a meeting after this. Hopefully you don't have a meeting after this and you can like take a deep
No,
breath and be done for the
no,
day.
I'm done. I'm done with my day. I'm like preparing my dinner, and I'm just gonna relax and watch Netflix. That's it.
Awesome. We were talking about My Octopus Teacher before because I always have my
Yeah,
octopus in the back. So maybe you'll watch that and you can let me know how it is. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Thanks
totally.
everybody for joining us. We'll see you next week with Pearl from First Choice Shipping. This has been Yana from YLT Translations. Thank you so much, Yana, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers, guys.